trusted partner in open source management.
Hey there, and welcome to OSS Consultants, your ultimate destination for everything open source. I'm Russ, and today we dive into a webinar discussion with industry experts such as Shane Coughlin, Heather Meeker, and Alex Ryback. This is part one of 6 from a webinar I was part of with Revenera on the topic of SBOMs and license compliance. We explore the crucial role of a software bill of materials and unravel first steps you can take in creating SBOMs, why all SBOMs are not created equal, and discover the importance of effective use in order to steer clear of potential licensing oversights. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on new videos. And if you have any questions or topics that you'd like us to cover in future videos, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. All right, let's jump in.
So what needs to happen, do we think, to SBOMs in the future to get everyone to buy into the importance of producing and managing SBOMs? What do we have to do? Because I think it's on more organizations and more departments' radar. Obviously, that's gaining some traction, but I don't think we're there yet on getting all of that buy-in. What do we need to do?
We got to do something. Everyone should be doing something. Too many companies are kind of waiting and seeing here, I think. But start with the open source you know that you're using, whether you've got the tooling to support that yet or not. Maybe you disagree with SBOM formatting, or you feel like there hasn't been enough direction provided by the regulators in the space. I think the basics of an SBOM are reasonably understood by most folks. It's important, again, to start somewhere, even if that means starting with just the identification of your software components and versions. You could start out with an SBOM proof of concept on a single product internally, like within your own organization for now, at least until you work out some of the process kinks and nuances, technical limitations, etc. But that at least gives you a starting point to learn from and then scale up from.
Anyone else? Here's a comment in our chat. Address the fact that SBOM helps to manage the risk from vulnerabilities, security, but unless done correctly, doesn't directly address attestations from a licensing perspective. The executive order is silent on copyright and licensing.
Right. So I think what Chris is touching on here is an interesting point in that if you are doing, let's say, your security analysis and you've got that in play already, then if your SBOM does the base identification of what package is in play, you'll immediately be able to apply your security analysis. But if you don't have a license compliance framework in place, then the SBOM let's say the SBOM just identifies the software package, that doesn't tell you what your license compliance obligations are. Now, some SBOMs do. For instance, the SPDX standard includes fields for including license information, but that doesn't mean that people will have done that. For instance, if a company had just read the US executive order and said, I'll follow that, then they might completely omit all the licensing information because it's not part of that executive order. So yeah, I think Chris touches on an interesting point in that not all SBOMs are created equally, including the same SBOM standard. It really depends on how you're using it. And we're back to the fact that it's just a tool. And that tool really depends on how you're using it. And if you're not architecting a solution, if you don't have an optic into all of the issues you want to solve here, you might leave out stuff that turns out to be pretty important later. And one example, just building off Chris's thing, is that if you're solving for, let's say, an SBOM and security, and you forget your license obligations, then you enter into M&A talks, and your acquirer has a look and says, "Do you own any of your code? Have you been distributing all of this code with the permission?" And you're like, "I don't know," which is a surprisingly common problem.
Your trusted partner in open source